In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to choose the colors for your watercolor palette. Folks often ask me how to choose a color palette for their watercolor practice. And by the word palette, I mean both selection of colors and the holder for them. And I say you should think about three things. First, your experience level, whether you've been a watercolorist for a while and are looking for some more color inspiration, or whether you're just getting started. Secondly, your budget. And thirdly, how portable you want your setup to be, i.e. will you be taking your paint set outside or along on trips and vacations, as I do? So those are three things to think about. And basically you have two choices. You can either go with a ready-made set such as this, or you can assemble your own. So I'm going to start off with assembling your own. And my first suggestion is trying just a 3-color palette. That basically includes a medium value of all 3 primaries, yellow, blue, and red. And each one is right in the middle in terms of value. It doesn't run too cool and it doesn't run too warm. That way you have a lot of colors you can mix from that. And for example, in this palette we have an azo yellow, ultramarine blue, and a quinacridone red. And from those 3 simple colors, you can make all of these mixtures, all of these secondaries and tertiaries. Now, there are pros and cons to having just a 3-color palette. The pros are it's the simplest one with just 3 colors. It's the cheapest way to get into using high-quality colors because high-quality colors like Winsor & Newton and M. Graham, these can run you anywhere from $5 to $20 a tube, depending on the size of the tube. And there are generally 3 sizes of tubes you can purchase. And the larger the tube you purchase, of course, the better value it is. But then you might not use that color unless it's one of those primaries. So I suggest buying the biggest container that you can afford. So at any rate, the pros of having a 3-color palette are it's the simplest, it's the cheapest way to get into using the highest quality colors, and it also improves your color mixing skills. You really need to learn how your primaries create the secondaries. And so it's great practice for a beginning artist or for kids that are serious about learning about art. The cons are you need to buy the plastic palettes, and those come in a lot of different varieties. And so it's just, you just gotta choose what you like. And you need to buy the tubes. Okay, so that's the first suggestion I have, the 3-color palette. The second way you could go is a 6-color palette. And that is like this one. And basically, in that situation, here's my palette. Oops, there it goes. Okay. In this situation, we have cool and warm versions of each primary. And when you have those, like a cool lemon yellow and a warm transparent yellow, a cool alizarin crimson and a warm cadmium red, a cool phthalo blue and a warm ultramarine blue, the pros of that are it's easier to match the colors you see. Like it's really easier to match the pink of a flower or the blue of the sky. It's also easier to make secondaries and tertiaries in terms of matching exactly what you see. But the cons are that it is more expensive because you need to buy more colors, and it's more challenging. It takes more time to learn how to mix those secondaries and tertiaries. So kind of here's an example of some cool secondaries I mixed and some warm secondaries I mixed from this palette. but it's really good practice, and I definitely suggest you move on to a 6-color palette after you've tried a 3-color palette. Now the next thing you could do is you could move on to purchasing a pre-made set like this that came with these colors and that I can also replace, because you can purchase these half pans or full pans of watercolors and place them in here and select your own colors. Or here's another option of this Winsor & Newton set. All right, and so these sets usually come with anywhere from 10 to 16 colors. And usually they have some warm and cools of all the primaries. They also have some of the secondaries already, like some greens and oranges and purples. And they have black and sometimes white. The pros of doing that, of course, is it's easy. You can just buy a set, and I suggest these Winsor & Newton field painting sets. So it's fast and it's easy, and you also have an area that you can mix in, and it often comes with a little brush that would sit right here, little field size brush. And it has some extra room here, which you can either use to put a sponge, like cut a sponge like this to size to clean your brush, or as I've done, I've added some more of my favorite colors. Now the cons are, of course, it's more expensive. These sets can run anywhere from $50 to over $100, depending on the quality of the paints and the number of paints you get. And also another con is that sometimes it comes with colors that you're really never going to use, which would be a pure black and a pure white. And so when you get those, like this white here, I would suggest getting rid of those, just taking the paint out and replacing it with a different color, either another shade of primary that's not in here or another secondary. So for example, this is not actually a black, it's my neutral tint that I have put in there in place of the black. So there are some options for you basically to get started, either a 3-color palette, a 6-color palette, or a larger 10 to 16 color palette that's ready-made. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and I hope that gives you some ideas of some colors to start with in your watercolor journey.